In the history of WWE, there's a fundamental rule in the business. When the fans turn on you, you turn on them. It's basically the law of physics for pro wrestling. But for 20 years, John Cena looked at that rule and broke it. Let's look at the raw data. The 10-year merchandise sales main events. John Cena is a statistical anomaly. In an industry designed to chew people up and spit them out every 5 years or so, he remained the immutable face of the company for nearly 2 decades. Theoretically, that shouldn't have been possible, but somehow he made it work. Kids screamed, adults booed, hardcores groaned, casuals adored him. And every single one of them played directly into what Cena was building. You don't survive that unless you understand one thing better than anyone else: how people want their heroes to behave. He understood that in the 21st century, the goal of a hero isn't to be universally loved, the goal is to be engaged with. And that's why we need to stop looking at him as just a wrestler, and we need to analyze him as a mechanic. Because now that we've seen the end, now that we've seen the 2025 heel turn, we finally have proof that he was right all along. This is the psychology of John Cena.
He doesn't belong here. By the way, those are extremists. That is toilet paper.
Types of heat. Heel heat, which basically means we hate the villain and we want to pay money to see him get beat, and go away heat, which means we are bored of this performer and want them off of our television for good. John Cena created a third unprecedented category: existential heat. When the crowd at One Night Stand 2006 or Money in the Bank 2011 screamed at Cena, booing the direction of the industry. Cena rose to power during the transition from the edgy, ruthless aggression era to the safe. The fans wanted the edge of Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Cena gave them the polish of Disney. The brilliance of Cena's psychology, and this is where most wrestlers fail, is that he never apologized for it. He didn't try to act like an edgy tweener to win over the smarks. He didn't wink at the camera and say, "Hey guys, I know this is corny, but I'm actually pretty cool in real life." By remaining steadfastly uncool, by saluting, by smiling, and strictly adhering to his code, he created a genuine friction. If he had turned heel in 2010, the tension would have released. The fans would have cheered him for being cool, like when Hogan joined NWO. But by refusing to change, he forced the audience to stay angry. And that anger is what kept the buildings full.
Right.
This leads us to a specific mechanic that made him the greatest worker of his generation. He didn't just ignore the crowd, he weaponized them. Cena understood that the "Let's Go Cena, Cena Sucks" chant wasn't a disruption of the show, it was the show. He realized that he was wrestling 2 different matches simultaneously, in the same ring, at the same time. The match for the kids, he was the classic superhero selling pain, overcoming odds, and fighting for virtue. The match for the men, he was the corporate juggernaut they wanted to see destroyed. If you watch his classics, specifically against Rob Van Dam at One Night Stand, pay attention to Cena's facial expressions. The crowd is actively hostile. They're throwing his shirt back at him, they're holding signs that say, "If Cena wins, we riot." Most wrestlers would panic, they would rush the match or try to act tough. Cena does the opposite. He slows down, he keeps his head up, he looks almost disappointed in them. He purposely leaves himself open to attacks. He lets the anti-hero beat him down for uncomfortable lengths of time. And you may ask why. Because he's feeding the adults exactly what they wanted, seeing him get destroyed, so that the kids would scream even louder, desperate for him to recover. He used the adults' hatred to fuel the children's passion, and the children's passion to annoy the adults into booing louder. It was a symbiotic feedback loop. He stood in the middle of the ring and conducted the chaos. He understood that a silent crowd is death, but a divided crowd is money.
He just gave that chair to John Cena.
Challenging Cena.
Most characters go on a positive change arc where they start flawed, they learn a lesson, and they change. Think of Shawn Michaels finding religion in the 90s. We are trained to expect growth. But Cena operated on a flat character arc. A flat arc character doesn't change. They change the world around them by holding on to a specific truth. Think of Captain America, Paddington Bear, or Superman. Their struggle isn't internal, it's external. The world tries to corrupt them, and their heroism comes from the refusal to break. The perfect example of this was his feud with Bray Wyatt leading into WrestleMania 30. Wyatt didn't want the WWE Championship. He didn't even really care about winning the match. His entire goal was to prove that John Cena was a fraud. He handed Cena a steel chair, knelt in the ring, and begged Cena to hit him. To give in to his anger and to embrace the hate, it finally became the monster the internet said he was. The drama of that match wasn't, will Cena win? The drama was, will Cena change? When Cena refused to swing the chair, the Smarks booed because they wanted the character development. But psychologically, Cena was protecting the flat arc. If he swings the chair, the truth of his character dies. By refusing, he proved that his morality was stronger than Wyatt's nihilism. For 15 years, Cena was the control group in a chaotic experiment. Every major feud followed the exact same psychological structure. 1. The variable. A complex, changing villain enters the chat. 2. The critique. The villain tells Cena he's a fraud, a dinosaur, or a hypocrite. They present a new way of thinking. 3. The test. Cena absorbs the criticism. He may even be tempted to break his code. 4. The proof. Cena refuses to break. He wins, proving that the constant, hustle, loyalty, and respect is stronger than the variable. The WWE needed this structure. In an era where the titles changed hands monthly and storylines were rewritten hourly, Cena was the anchor. If he had been fluid, changing his gimmick every 2 years like Chris Jericho, there would have been nothing for the new era stars to rebel against. You can't be the alternative if there is no standard. Cena was the standard.
I still think John Cena is the man to beat. So the John Cena US Open Challenge starts now. You want some? Come get some!
We have to take a detour to 2015. This was the year the narrative shifted. Cena voluntarily moved down to the mid-card to hold the United States Championship. And in doing so, he invented the single best weekly segment in the modern era, the US Open Challenge. Believe it or not, this was a calculated psychological pivot. For a decade, the criticism was that Cena couldn't wrestle, that he was a 5 moves of doom bodybuilder who couldn't hang with the technical wizards coming in from the independent scene. So, he decided to beat them at their own game. He stopped playing the sports entertainer and started playing the indie wrestler. He expanded his moveset overnight. He introduced the springboard stunner, the sunset flip powerbomb, the code red. He started having 20-minute work rate classics on free television with the darlings of the internet: Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Neville. Analytically, this was a masterstroke of gatekeeper psychology. He not only beat these new guys, he validated them. By letting a guy like Neville take him to the absolute limit, he was telling the audience, these guys are on my level. But by winning in the end, he was telling the Smarks, but I'm still better than them. It was the ultimate flex. He wasn't Super Cena absorbing punishment anymore. He was a veteran out wrestling the next generation. He proved that he wasn't on top because of politics. He was on top because he could actually go. And why does this matter? Because this was Cena looking directly at the hardcore fans and saying, I can do what your heroes do, I just choose not to. This gained him a grudging, undeniable respect. Over the course of that summer, the chant shifted. They went from Cena sucks, which was genuine vitriol, to John Cena sucks, sung affectionately to the tune of his theme song. It became a term of endearment. It became a meme. He won the war of attrition, and he waited out the hate until it became nostalgia.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome John!
Which brings us to the present, the 2025 heel turn. For 2 decades, fantasy bookers begged, turn him heel. It'll be the biggest thing in wrestling. It'll be like Hogan joining the NWO. Well, in 2025, we finally got it. Desperate for championship number 17 and facing the forced retirement of his expiring contract, Cena finally broke. He aligned with The Rock to form the ultimate Hollywood sellout faction. He cheated Cody Rhodes and broke every rule in his own playbook. But notice something crucial about the execution. He didn't turn heel to be cool. He didn't come out in a leather jacket with a new edgy catchphrase. He turned heel out of weakness. He essentially told the audience, I can't beat the new generation on my own anymore. By aligning with The Rock, he admitted that John Cena, the character who stood alone against the Nexus, against the Authority, against the world, was finally scared. It was a brilliant character choice, but it came with a heavy cost. And this is the most fascinating part of the analysis. The noise changed. The specific deafening energy of a John Cena match evaporated. The famous Let's Go Cena, Cena Sucks war, the soundtrack of the last 20 years, stopped almost overnight. Why? Because the argument ended. For 2 decades, the tension of every Cena match was the question, will he snap? Will he finally admit he's a fraud? That tension was the engine of his career. When he turned heel, he answered the question. He looked at the camera and said, you were right all along. I'm a fraud and I will do anything to win. The moment he finally admitted that was the moment the friction died. We aren't fighting against him anymore. We are just watching a veteran play a villain role. It's entertaining, sure, and it's good television, but it lacks that visceral, riotous energy of 2011 because the balloon had finally popped. Head toward his final match on December 13th, we have to acknowledge what we are actually losing. We aren't just losing a wrestler. We are losing the concept of the monoculture star. We live in a fragmented world now. The algorithm feeds us only what we specifically like. Roman Reigns is a god to wrestling fans. Cody Rhodes is a hero to wrestling fans. But John Cena was a figure for the world. He is the last remnant of the Hogan blueprint, the 80s idea that one man could put the entire industry on his back, go on the Today Show at 5 a.m., sell the Fruity Pebbles, make the movies, grant 650 Make-A-Wishes, and still wrestle the main event that night. For 15 years, Cena absorbed all the toxicity, all the corporate mandates, and all the media scrutiny so that the other guys didn't have to. CM Punk got to be the voice of the voiceless because Cena was there to be the voice of the company. Edge got to be the rated R superstar because Cena was keeping the ratings PG. He was the canvas that allowed everyone else to be the paint. Without a rigid, unbending moral censor like Cena standing in the middle of the ring, the anti-heroes have nothing to rebel against. I truly believe that when he retires, the torch isn't being passed. Not to Cody, not to Gunther. The torch is just being extinguished, and it's being replaced by 1,000 smaller LED lights. John Cena's legacy isn't that he was the best wrestler, even though when it's all said and done, he became a fantastic one. His legacy is that he was a psychological fortress. He withstood 20 years of hostility without cracking, knowing that the hostility was the only fuel powerful enough to keep the engine running. He managed the crowd's emotions better than they managed their own. He was the adult in the room while we threw tantrums, and he never once let us see him sweat. Now that he's given us the Hollywood heel run we begged for, he taught us one final, painful lesson on his way out. The only thing more interesting than the hero you love was the hero you love to fight. When he retires on December 13th, the silence he leaves behind is going to be deafening. So if you grew up wearing the armband or you grew up chanting Cena sucks until your voice went hoarse, realize this: you were both part of the same story and you were both exactly where he wanted you. I want to know where you stand on this. Now that we've seen the heel turn, do you think it was worth the wait, or do you kind of miss the Super Cena era? Let me know in the comments. I'll be down to replying to everyone. I'm Queen of the Fall, and I'll see you for the next one.